He tried to invent a new word, swass. He did a song called Swass.
I like Humpty Dumpty.
Oh, Digital Underground?
Digital Underground.
Man,
Yep. Oh, my goodness.
It's funny. I was listening to somebody talk about old rap music the other day, and he was like, my idea of early rap music is, I think he said Ja Rule and
that's
some, and I'm like
2000, early 2000.
I'm not even sure, man. I was kind of, once it got gangster and dark, I got less interested in rap. But
Ja Rule was like
I mean, I could go back to Houdini. Who was in that? I mean, remember the Fat Boys, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Run DMC, obviously way before I would think about Ja Rule as far as, OG.
Well, I mean, you talking probably 15-year difference, though, between Ja Rule and Run DMC.
Oh, easily.
Yeah,
easily.
Probably 15-year, if not more. Mm-hmm.
But then you had, what were all those, there's a bunch of little small, I mean, when rap first came out, we talked about, Rapper's Delight.
Yes. That was, 2 podcasts ago, episode 3?
But then, I think
I
so.
want to say.
This is episode 5.
This is 5.
Here we are.
Episode 5
Deep
coming at you live.
Underground lair of 86 Kids Studios.
In the dungeon.
In the heart of downtown Huntsville, Alabama.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. That was my interpretation of a heartbeat.
Of a heartbeat. I liked it.
Yeah. I'm talented.
Well,
like
heck, that was one of our best intros ever. We just kind of we wanged it. We wanged it. We put a little hot sauce on it and just went with it.
Yeah.
Well,
where we at?
Where we at?
Where we going? I guess is a better question. Where we going?
Isn't that always the question?
That's always the question. I don't know what to expect.
No. I don't have high expectations. Like, I don't think we're going to,
Well, I was always told like you.
But I also don't have low expectations.
You set the bar low so you can exceed it.
For sure.
And then when you exceed it, it's like, oh my goodness.
You always want to exceed expectations.
You always want to exceed expectations.
If that means you have to keep your expectations modest, well, then so be it.
Then so be it. Then I was always told, hey, dream big.
Dream big.
They're those two schools of thought are very contrary to one another.
Wait a minute. Which two schools? Dream big and what?
Dream big and set your expectations low.
I get you.
So you can exceed them. What would you tell your kid? Which one would you tell your kid?
I would tell them both. Here's what I would say. On the grand scale, dream big. All right. For instance, I want to start my own business. Okay. How big do I think I can make said business be? Or how satisfying? That's a whole nother conversation. How, sometimes just because something blows up and gets huge doesn't mean it's necessarily what you want. Right. But how successful, by my definition of successful, do I want this business to be? That's the big goal, right? Set it, more than your wildest better than your wildest expectations, right? But then your everyday goals, the small things that you break that down into so that it's manageable day by day, week by week, period by period, year by year, whatever it is, you set small goals to reach up to that goal of having the, whatever it is that you set your big goal, your dream big goal. And for those daily goals, I think it's important to manage your expectations, because if you start out at, say, well, I'm trying to think of a good example now. All right, let's say you're going to start a YouTube channel and you want to, your dream big goal is to have 1 million subscribers.
Ooh.
That's a lot of subscribers, right? But that's a dream big goal. So you set a dream big goal to have 1 million subscribers, but then you break that goal down into, today we have 0. We want to get, gain X number of subscribers per day, per week. You break it down into a science where you can actually follow a plan to get there. And I would say make those goals attainable.
Almost definitely.
Which, because as long as you're moving the needle forward, if you come out and you say, well, within the first year, I want to have 500,000 subscribers, that might not be reasonable. Or within the first 2 months, I want to have 100,000 subscribers. That might not be subscribers. It might not be, manageable. So yeah,
unless
I think
you just go viral on something.
Dream big for the long haul. and for the short term, set reasonable expectation. It doesn't mean you lower your expectations, but maybe instead of going for one goal, maybe you break that goal into more manageable chunks as well. So if your first goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers, that still probably seems, if you're starting out with 0, that seems like a lot. So instead of, you don't say, well, I only want the goal to be 800 subscribers, then take that 1,000, that you want for your initial goal and say, okay, what I'm going to do is work on 500 in the first 90 days or whatever it is. And, and even break it down further. So you don't reduce your expectations, but you manage them so you have those small successes. And those small successes give you those hits of dopamine that keep you motivated to keep going.
I like that. Very well put.
I think.
It kind of reminds me of, I'm going to give a very simplified version of what you just said because you're just so elegant with the words. You done read a lot more books than me, I'm just a, dumb, slow Georgia boy, but I'm just going to say it like this. How do you eat an elephant?
I love that.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
The journey of 1,000 miles started with the first step.
First step. There's a popular pop rock song. The lyric says something about if the first step is one you believe in, the next one might be profound. I think it's Shine Down. Maybe. I might have that wrong too. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's pretty good. You got to do something.
You got to do something. You got to get started. Get that ball rolling.
Get the ball rolling.
And like you said, set those, dream big, but definitely set those small goals to get to that level you want to be. Make them attainable.
Make them attainable.
Make them very attainable. And just take it a step at a time.
Don't lower your expectations.
No.
But breaking down to pieces that you can eat. Ain't no sense in trying to, cut off.
Take one big bite.
That's right.
No, you're exactly right.
Yep.
That was good.
I like that. You know what? I just realized we never introduced ourselves.
No, and I've been waiting to hear yours all week.
Man, we kind of did it a minute ago. I thought that was
I mean, we got started, but I still want to hear I want to hear what you was working on last week.
It was kind of the whole, coming to you from 86 Kids Studios, but I was trying to figure out a way to make it.
Oh, that was it.
From down,
Okay.
And I like saying something about from the heart of downtown Huntsville, coming to you live from 86 Kids Studios. See, I'll mess it up now. Use like a carnival voice.
Bleep, 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 bleep.
And here we are in 86 Kids Studios, live deep in the dungeon in the heart of Huntsville, Alabama. I'm Shane Knox, and this is Q the Messenger, and you're listening to Vendor Chronicles. Right?
That was pretty good. Hey, that was very good.
Put a little carnival barker into it, Just
I like that.
Get a little into it, But I like saying something about Huntsville.
And 86 Kids Studios.
86 Kids Studios.
Most definitely.
Who we are and what this is, Vendor Chronicles. It's like, I don't like saying coming to you live, even though it sounds cool saying it, but it's not really live. I mean, we're taping it live.
For us, it is.
For us, it's live.
The audience at home won't hear live.
No, for sure.
Right now, we're live and in color.
And in color.
Live and in color. This is Q the Messenger with Hustle and Pop coming to you live from downtown Huntsville in 86 Kids Studio.
256.
256. That was good.
That's fun.
Where the truth is stranger than fiction.
Where the truth is stranger than fiction.
Let's go.
So what do we got this week, man?
Oh, man. This week, I got to set up at Trash Panda Studio. Trash Panda Stadium, Toyota Field. They invited me out like 2 Thursdays ago. We got rained out.
Okay.
So they gave me the option to come back.
Oh, you talking about for the
game?
Excuse me, for Christmas in July or something.
Yes,
like that.
I was there for Christmas in July. That was on a Thursday. It rained us out.
Rained it out.
They canceled the game. So I guess the lady who puts on the event for vendors, who's in charge of the vendor, she was like, well, just pick another day in August, and you can come then, So we picked this past Friday, and it was a beautiful night. They had us set up outside, right behind where they hit the home runs out there, right behind the field. And,
sure,
the truck got hit with a couple balls.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, a couple balls hit the roof,
Wow,
So I had little kids coming up to me, hey, can I get the ball off your roof? Can I get the ball off your roof? I'm like, wait till we done. I back the truck up where we can stand on the bed of the truck and reach it as opposed to you just climbing up there, falling down. And Now your mom and dad mad at me.
Yeah.
So a very beautiful night. We set up out there. That was Thursday. And then of course we had Saturday market.
What kind of night did you have at the Trash Pandas?
Ooh.
Was it worth going down there?
I paid her. Oh my goodness. It was a tough night. If anything, at least we got to get in the game for free, got to see a game, and we got to promote our business. Far as from a monetary point of view, it wasn't that great.
Probably wasn't that great.
It wasn't that great. Especially it was $100 to be there.
Yeah.
And I bet I did less than 200 in product sale.
That's tough.
That's real tough.
But you saw a game.
Yes.
You got $100 more than you would have, and you took your family out for a game. When else do you go to the ball field and leave with more money than you came with?
Correct.
So
I go to the ball field, you're gonna spend more than $100
for sure.
I remember the first Major League Baseball game I took my son to. This was probably about 10 years ago. We went to a Royals game.
Where at?
Kansas City.
In Kansas City?
Kansas City, Royals Stadium. So we get there, and my son, he wanted a hot dog. And that was something I always wanted to go to a baseball game and get a hot dog. Right. This was my first game as well. I say it was his first game, but it was mine as well. And
okay.
We get a hot dog. We get 2 hot dogs and 2 drinks. It was over $30. Or right at $30. And I'm talking, my son is 17 now, so he would have been about, probably 8, 9.
Okay. So 10 years ago, maybe.
So let's say 10 years ago. So this is 2014.
Ain't no telling what it is now.
Ain't no telling. I think I bought a beer. I did buy a beer this past Friday at the Trash Pandas. It was $15.
$15 for one beer.
$15 for one beer.
Wow. How big was this beer?
It was a 32 ounce, I want to say.
Okay,
I got the big cup.
Beer.
Like they had a 16 and 32.
Okay.
So I think the 16 was like 7, 32 was like 15 or something like whatever. 16.
$7 for a 16 ounce.
Right.
What draft beer? We talking about
just draft? Just draft. It was from straight to L.
Wow.
I'm like, man, I can buy a 12 pack for $16.
Yeah.
When you really start to put it in perspective, but that was expensive. So I paid her the $100 and bought that $15 beer. Man.
Yeah.
I mean, I still came out green,
But just.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I quit drinking before I started becoming a vendor.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times there's alcohol available. And back in the days when I drank, I probably would have had, probably every Sunday. I'd be up at the bar having a few.
Right. You think.
It's right there. It's like, how can you not,
At MidCity,
tell me I can have one at my,
shot is what? A shot is like $9
Couldn't tell you.
For a shot,
Depends on what it is, I'm
I
sure,
bought, I bought one for Jason about 2 weeks ago. We went to MidCity one night. Me and the wife took a date down there, and Jason was set up selling his product.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I'm about to go to the bar. You want anything? I offered,
Sure.
And he was like, yeah, man, give me a double shot of Jameson or something on the rocks. And he tried to give me some money. I was like, no, I got it.
Right.
I got it, man. Don't worry about it. Because I offered, and I go up there and I give him the shot. It was like $9.
Yeah.
For a shot, on some rocks. And I was like, ooh, I probably should have took that money.
Yeah,
when I got back to him,
Jason knew how much it was. He's like, all right, man.
No, I did. It was good. We had a good night. They was having something called a Gizmo night. Was it Gizmo? Gizmo. Don't ask me what it means, but I guess it's something that, like these type of parties that people have. It's supposed to mean like weird. Gizmo Fest. That's what it was called. It means like weird.
What was that
weird
movie
type fest?
There was a creature on a movie called Gizmo. Was that Gremlins?
Yeah, you talking Gremlins.
Was it Gremlins?
Gizmo the one that started it all.
Yeah, the very first one.
Because he got wet.
Right.
And they started just popping out his back.
They fed him after midnight or whatever it was.
They feed him after midnight, got wet.
Next thing you know, you got 1 million of them.
You got 1 million little gremlins running
That was
around.
ripped off of an old Star Wars episode. The concept was.
I'm a Star Wars fan.
I like Star Wars.
I never
Star
seen
Trek,
it.
not Star Wars. I'm sorry, Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
Star Trek.
I could be a Trekkie too,
I've
but
seen a lot more.
I'm
I've
more
never
Star
seen
Wars
Star
than
Wars.
Trekkie.
I've never seen Star Wars.
Oh my goodness.
I've never seen any of the Star Wars movies. Like I've seen pieces of them as they were being watched by somebody, but as far as to watch one of the movies from start to finish and understand what's going on, never. Nope. Oh, just not interested. Don't have anything against it. I don't have, I'm like, Star Wars sucks. No, I don't feel that way. I never saw it when I was a kid. And so it never grabbed me as an adult, I guess. If I'd have seen it when I was a kid, I'd probably love it,
Oh, we can't be friends no more.
Man, that's tough. That's tough, man. That's harsh.
I'm disowning you after this.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Guess this the last show, y'all. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me, man. Never.
That's you?
Never seen Star Wars.
Oh wow, I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
They got some.
How old were you
stuff.
the first time you saw Star Wars?
Ooh.
My man Bill Burr was in Star Wars. The Mandalorian.
He was in the Mandalorian. Yes.
Whatever that is.
Yes,
It's like a offshoot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Better Call Saul.
You would probably like Mandalorian.
I might like Star Wars if I got into it. Out of all the Star Wars,
you probably would like the Mandalorian.
I'd have to go back to the very beginning and watch it all so I understood the story. And
you really don't have to go watch if the pick up on the Mandalorian. You wouldn't have to go back.
Oh yeah,
I think you can probably come right in.
Yeah, getting me to watch a television show though. I don't know. I just don't like to. I don't know. I'll watch something for as long as it takes me to eat a plate of food. That's as long as my attention span is. Once the food is gone, I'm
ready for something else.
I can sit there and play with Madeline.
Yeah,
but then I'm not watching the TV. I'm playing with her, and so
because she has all your attention.
Yeah. I put on a disc golf tournament in the background, and I kind of keep half an eye on that, and then I play with her.
Oh wow,
it's more fun to me, anyways. As you know, I can't imagine you having time to watch anything.
Oh my goodness, Enzo,
with all you got going on.
Oh man, Enzo's off the chain.
Yep,
he's almost getting to that point to where he don't want to take naps no more.
Madeline slept for 30 minutes a day and then popped up.
And be up, ready to go.
Yep.
It's like, come on. Because when he would take a nap, tired. That's when I can get something done.
Right.
Or at least try to.
Right.
Now he's all about it. Like we was in the yard today. We was in the yard about 3 hours today. So I go out back, to do a little work, and I take him outside with me. I was like, let's go outside and get some fresh air.
Right.
I got a riding lawnmower. I got like a 0 turn.
Sure.
He loves this machine.
Okay.
And I got it parked over in the corner, kind of off in the grass because I had to rinse it off last night. And so as soon as we get out there, he beeline straight to this machine. And he gets on top of him. He just sits. And I'm watching him just sitting there, He got his hands crossed. He kind of just twirling his thumbs. And I'm saying, I'm going to watch him a little bit longer. So I say about 10 minutes went by. I was like, okay, I'm going to give him 5 more minutes. If he's still sitting on that lawnmower in 5 minutes, not making a sound, we're going to cut the grass. 5 minutes go by. He's still just sitting there.
Wow.
Twirling his thumbs. I mean, he's talking about, he's in the sun too. The sun done kind of hit where he's at.
Okay.
I'm on the porch kind of under the roof a little bit, under the patio.
Yeah.
And I say, man, he really wants to cut this grass. So sure enough, I get him. I go pick him up and sit him on my lap and off we go.
There you go.
We're cutting the front yard, grass all flying in our face, hitting him in the eyes. So I'm trying to protect him. I'm trying to cover his eyes. He moves my hand out the way like, right. No, I want the grass in my face. I want the grass in my eyes.
Right.
And it's just amazing how much alike we are. Even from that age. And to me being this age, like how DNA is almost like your genetic code, which it is, but it's almost programming. That's the word I'm looking for. Your DNA.
Oh, for sure.
Like when I look at him, I see so much of myself. Like when it comes to just being so mechanical and analytical. Especially he's my 3rd child.
Right.
So I see similarities in all my kids. My oldest to my daughter. But he's almost like a genetic twin, almost a genetic clone as far as the way we think, and our attitudes and stuff.
My son and I are that way. I've only got one son, and he and I are. Well, you've met Daniel,
right?
I couldn't deny him as.
Oh no.
We can pass for each other.
You really could.
Yeah. If you didn't see us, he could probably sit in this chair and for 10 minutes you wouldn't know. If you were looking the other way, you wouldn't know probably.
Yeah.
We talk about different things, obviously, and he's 21 years younger than I am, whatever. So, but yeah, a lot of the same inflections, and yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is. DNA is amazing.
DNA is amazing. And amazing, you get the same set of parents, but that DNA, dice roll, as it were, comes out different every time.
Oh, yeah, you don't know what you're going to get.
No telling what Ezra's going to be like.
No telling. Could be totally different. I tell this quick story, Sorry if I'm hogging the mic.
Not at all.
But I'm gonna take this liberty. But when Cynthia first got pregnant with my oldest, I had just joined the military. So when you join the military, they put you in what they call the DEP program.
Okay.
It stands for, it's DEP. It stands for Delayed Entry Program.
Okay.
So like, say I signed up in January, they're delaying me to August because they got to get the classes right, the tech schooling right, everything, so you got to go in at certain times to be on track.
I got you. Okay.
So
had nothing to do with your personal situation.
No. It's just scheduling, your logistics. Right. So they put me in the DEP, Delayed Entry Program. This was probably like January when I signed up, and I leave in August. So
what do you do in the meantime?
I still go to work.
Still have your same job?
I think the recruiter want to see you like once a month, to make sure you, in shape and exercising and doing what you're supposed to do. You're not in jail or dead or something.
Right.
So,
but you're not getting any compensation either, right?
No. You don't get compensated until you actually, your first day.
Right. Okay.
You actually leave off to go to boot camp. So, this is January, February. I sign up. They tell me, okay, you leaving August 8th. I'm like, okay, cool. So I got, 7-8 months to play with. Come April, for April Fool's joke, Cynthia tell me she's pregnant. For April Fool's joke.
For a joke.
For a joke.
Okay.
But not knowing she really is pregnant. So the joke's on you.
The joke is on her.
So April 1st, hey, I'm pregnant. I got you. Ha 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 ha. Come like April 3rd, I'm like, what's wrong? She knew I was in class at the time, and so she called me. That's why I was like, okay, it must be something serious because she knows I'm in class and she's calling me. So I go out of class, I pick up the phone. I'm like, what's wrong? Everything all right? I'm at the clinic with my sister, and they're doing some blood testing because I took a pregnancy test and I'm really pregnant, or whatever. The blood work come back positive for being pregnant.
Did you start laughing?
No. Okay. I was like, well, I leave. I'm leaving in August and you're pregnant. Baby's supposed to come due like late December. And I'm like, well, I can't stop me going, but just know I'm going to be here and support as much as I can. So December come around or August come around, I leave, go off to the military, do what I'm supposed to do, graduate from boot camp, I'm in tech school, do 2 months of boot camp. Now I got like 8 months of tech school.
Right.
My tech school was long, one of the longest in the military.
8 months does seem like a long time.
Yeah, 8 months of tech school. And so come December, luckily it kind of fell just right where we had that Christmas break coming up. Okay. Because you can't take time off doing tech school, only if it's like holiday period.
Really?
So, yeah.
Not even for the birth of your child?
Not even for they don't even know if it is my child. I could say that's my kid. We're not married. You know what I'm saying? Now I got to prove that he's my child, and that's where I'm going with this.
Wow.
So luckily he was born December 20th. A few days later was going to be Christmas break. So I was able to leave for a week, a week or two. I can't remember. And I wouldn't miss no school. When I get back, I'll still be on track.
Okay, good deal.
So I leave a couple days after she had the baby. She was still in the hospital when I got there. So he was born December 20th. I think I got there like on the 23rd, something like that. And got to see my new baby. And then, Christmas, New Year's, okay, gotta go. So I eventually proposed. And we eventually tied that knot, to make
Sure.
a, let's say, honest woman out of
honest
her.
woman.
Honest woman, Hey, can you back that marriage certificate, whatever.
Backdate it. Yeah.
Backdate that thing to like last year, February,
Wow.
But where I was going with this story was about how DNA works. So for him for my son to be on my military insurance and have my military benefits without me being married to the mom, I had to actually prove he was my kid.
Wow.
So I had to go to LabCorp and get DNA work.
Test.
We had to go get cheek swab, so he can get my health insurance.
Right.
Because at the time she was in college, she didn't have no health
It's
insurance.
wild they make you do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I kind of jokingly say like, yeah, if I didn't have paperwork on my son, I wouldn't think he was his. My first son, because he's so much taller than me.
Sure.
But if I look at him, I can tell he's my kid.
Right,
What I'm saying? But you factor in the height, it's like, man, is that my kid? You know what I'm saying? I'm a run, this dude, but I want to say he takes after her side of the family. Her dad got some link to him,
Okay.
her mom's side and stuff. So, but yeah, had to go get paperwork on him. Had to go get lab swap,
That's
and then
wild.
you see those numbers, it's like 99.99%. Your kid.
That's your kid.
When you look at those, they line your DNA up side by side.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, this is amazing.
Wow.
What did they do back in the day before you could do all that stuff?
I mean, they could do a blood test, and that would determine that it didn't necessarily prove it was your child, but it might rule out the possibility of it being your child, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it wasn't, unless it ruled out the possibility, then, you still didn't know if it was or wasn't.
Just have to wait till the kid starts to mature.
Well, back in the day, if you were married and there was a child, your wife had a baby, regardless of what you could prove or not prove, that's your baby.
That's your kid.
That's your kid, regardless. If there was if your wife was unfaithful and she got pregnant by somebody else, no matter if you could prove that it happened, legally, that's still your kid and you're going to be paying child support.
Wow.
There's still laws like that. I knew of a guy. Of course, everybody, you always hear stories. Oh, I know of a guy and this guy had this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But, once you start paying child support and you're on the birth certificate, it's hard to not have to pay that. Can you imagine kid wasn't yours and you're still paying child support on it?
Oh my goodness. I seen stories where people find out like 50 years later that the kid they thought was theirs, not their kid. Like, say I'm an old guy, I need a kidney, and my son want to donate me a kidney, and we go do the compatibility.
Sure. Oh, yeah. And you find out.
Y'all have
not
no
related.
Compatibility. Yes, not related.
Here's the thing, though.
That'd be horrible.
I think it would be horrible on one point, but I think on the other point, if this is your kid, it's your kid. And if the DNA lines up and says that you're not, scientifically my kid, okay, but I've loved you for however many X amount of years, what now? I'm going to stop loving you or stop feeling that you're my, I don't think it would make any difference to me at that point other than, the obvious questions with the mom. That's a different story. But as far as my relationship with the child, it doesn't matter what the DNA test says, even if it came back and said negative. You're my child now,
Right.
Madeline's 14 months old. Mm-hmm. Listen, I got no doubts that she's my child, of course.
Me neither.
But regardless, you think I could walk away from her because of a piece of paper?
Mm-hmm.
Please, couldn't happen, And I feel the same way about my other two children.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't imagine, having to go through that and confront the mother.
Oh.
But as far as the child, where do I sign to make it legal?
Mm-hmm.
It already was in my mind anyways.
Well, you got the family you're born into and the family you can choose as well.
That's true.
Blood don't always make you related.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And, Jessica and I have always said, if you live in our house,
mm-hmm.
And by extension, our children live in our house, even though two of them don't. But, that's a different relationship than it would be with any other part of our family. But if you're not part of the household, then you're our extended family.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think we talked about that one time before. The first thing I'm going to do is take care of what I got right here under this roof,
Yeah, charity always start at home.
That's right.
At least it should.
So what's coming up for you guys? We're going into the holiday season. How big of a deal is that for the kettle corn business? I know in the toy business, that's a big thing. But as far as kettle corn, what do the holidays mean for you guys?
Oh, it's usually just business as usual.
Okay.
I think this year we're gonna try to put together something special for the holidays, like maybe do some tin cans or something.
that'd be fun,
Yeah,
sure.
that'd be pretty cool. But we never really focused on just particular seasons. And I think as the business continues to grow and develop, we're gonna start steering towards those directions. Like my wife, she had the idea last week, like maybe with our business, we sit down like 1 hour out the week and just discuss the direction of the business, or where do we want to take it, or how can we improve? And I was like, that's a really good idea. Because we get so tied up in just the day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to get here. We got to get ready for this. Oh, I need some corn. I need some oil. I need this, for this event. So, and not really sitting down, slowing down, and just working on the business, itself, because now it kind of been on just autopilot, and things been kind of just stagnant, now how can we take it to that next level?
That's interesting. We've discussed some of the same things, and to hear you talking about having just a once a week, just a brainstorming, you're talking about just a session where you try to, what if we did this? What if we did this?
Or it could be a what if, but maybe we might come up with an idea like, okay, now how can we initiate this idea?
Sure.
How can we initiate this plan or these thoughts that we just...
Once you got 10 what ifs on the board, then pick 2 of them or whatever. And then at that point in time, it's no longer what if, it's, pursue. And I see what you're saying.
Correct. But that's really it when it comes to just the holiday season. I know school started back, and we're trying to become a big influence in some schools around our area. So like we're definitely tapped into Sparkman Middle. We're tapped into Harvest Elementary. So now we're trying to get into Monrovia. And
when you say get into, what do you what's your relationship with the schools?
Like they invite us out a couple times a month.
Okay.
And then we'll give them we'll donate 25% of sales back to whatever organization invited us.
Gotcha.
Because schools, they can raise money. So at the Sparkman Middle, we usually go through their gym program, the PE program.
Okay.
They always trying to raise money to buy whatever, new balls, new jerseys, stuff like that.
Right.
And so each program gets a certain amount of fundraising days. I mean, for lack of a better term, throughout the year. So with the middle school, we're on their calendar for once a month to come there. So with the elementary school, we're on their calendar to come once a month, and we'll do their field days as well.
When you say come, what you show up down there with your trailer?
Pull up the trailer, truck and trailer.
Just whatever you
and
sell.
And usually Kona Ice is there as well with us.
So it's just business as usual, but that's interesting. I wonder if we could tap into some of that market with toys and make it a fundraiser and donate a percentage back.
We do 25%. 25% of sales go to whatever program invited us. It don't go to the school, it goes to that program. Because typically they're doing it to raise money for whatever that organization is. Or say the PTO can invite you out. So that money, whatever you give back to them will go to the PTO program.
Okay. Yeah. That's an interesting.
Whatever program you in. Yeah. So
there's a million ways to make money.
Oh, it is.
You can make money at anything if you find. I mean, somebody invented those little plastic things on shoelaces.
The eyelets. I think that's what they call.
Is it the eyelets or the? I think I'm talking about on the end of the shoelace. It makes it where you can.
It's not called the eyelet, or that's what it goes through.
Was an eyelet. That's what
so what are the dang on tips of the shoelace then?
Man. The little plastic thing on the end of
the little plastic thing on the end of the shoe.
Somebody invented that. Somebody had to come up with the idea of mushing that in there. And
it was $1 million idea. Whoever invented it.
I'm sure. I hope so.
I met this guy, and this stuck with me since I was in 4th or 5th grade. This wealthy guy came to our schools, like a motivational type situation.
Right.
I'm what 10 years old at most.
Okay.
So he comes to the school, and I never forget this. He was talking about just ideas. And he was like, I sold somebody an idea and made $5 million. The numbers really don't matter in this story, so I'm going to kind of make up the numbers. But he made a lot of money just off of this idea.
Just off of an idea he had.
So he went to this what would be one of the companies that has the big 5-gallon drums of water? You know that you could see like on the machines, and you go put your cup up under it, and you press the blue gallon.
I know what you're talking about. Geyser, maybe.
Geyser. Let's say Geyser. Okay,
sure.
So, I guess he was touring this Geyser plant, and they was having to dump out a whole bunch of barrels. You know, like the stuff that don't get emptied out completely. You know, and you go service it, you still give them a new drum, but it still might have 3 gallons in the jug.
Okay. So
while he was touring this plant, he was with, I guess, the big wig of the plant. And he was like, I got a way that'll save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of wear and tear on your employees when they're dumping out these big gallons of whatever, water.
Right.
Because he said he watched the guy dump a few barrels, and he was just like kind of shaking them. You know what I'm saying? To get the water out, He's shaking them. And it was like it was wearing that dude out. And he was like, it's such a more simpler way to do it. Swirl it around. He's the guy that invented the swirl around.
Wow.
The tornado. The tornado in the bottle. And it just
sucks it right out.
Sucks it right out.
But somebody had to be the first one to come up with that.
Even if or at least he probably wasn't even the first one to come up with it. But he was definitely the first one to probably monetize it.
And that's where the key is.
Yeah,
if you can find a way to monetize it. And I think sometimes that sounds crass, like putting you can't put a dollar value on an experience or whatever. But the point is, if you don't figure out a way to monetize it, then it doesn't grow. It stays with you. It doesn't get out to, now everybody has, understands the tornado or whatever it might be. And it's the same thing with, whether it be, I don't know, pharmaceuticals is one of those. I'm a diabetic and I have to have insulin. Without it, I probably would already be dead, or, I'd certainly be in a lot worse shape. That's for sure, without insulin. And some of that insulin is really expensive. And it's like, okay, do you know how much the pharmaceutical companies make off of you having to buy insulin? And I'm like, yeah, but what would the alternative be? Because if there wasn't a financial incentive for them to make the insulin, then they wouldn't make the insulin, right? And they certainly wouldn't come up with a new one. You just use the same insulin that was the very first one that ever came if there's never a financial incentive to make something new. And so I think it's, finding a way to monetize something is important if you want to be able to get that benefit to everybody.
Correct.
And maybe they came up with a new insulin, but if they didn't figure out a way to get people to pay for it on a large scale, then, 2 doses of it would be so expensive that you couldn't have it anyways.
And like you said, what would the alternative be?
What would the alternative be? And I think a lot of things are like that, If Henry Ford hadn't figured out a way to monetize cars,
the automobile.
Well, who knows what would happen? Electric cars, probably.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think electric cars would have come up. And I think instead of gas stations, you'd have an electric. I don't even think it'd be a charging station. I think we'd have modular batteries in our cars, and you could pull up to a charging station, whatever that looked like, and swap the battery pack. They'd be a universal fit, or maybe there'd be 2 or 3 different kinds. If you had a Ford, that was an F-type battery. If you had a Toyota, that was a T-type battery or whatever.
Yep.
Guess what? Honda has decided they're going to do T-type batteries too. So now they're, you know what I'm saying? And eventually they would have come down to a system where you could pull up to a gas station and have or a filling, a charging station, and swap out with a fresh battery and drive, all the way across the country. Same thing as with gas.
You pay based on how much charge your old battery have.
Probably. Or
say my battery's at 50%, but I want a full battery. I'm only paying 50% of energy.
Oh, that'd be the way to do it.
You get what I'm saying? I'm not paying for a whole.
They're gonna be like, nah, you better wait till your battery's dead. But then the thing is,
I'm gonna ride it till it's
dead.
0.05%. I'm gonna ride it till it's dead.
And then the other thing is, okay, how big is this battery? Can you make a compartment to store an extra one in your car?
You ever
can you have a pickup truck where the whole bed of it is batteries and batteries?
You see the guys with the extra diesel tanks on the back of their trucks. Hey, just throw me another battery back there.
I mean, imagine back before automobiles were the way they are now, and before there was a gas station on every other corner. I imagine people that rode horses were like that. Oh yeah, sure, that car will go real good till your gas runs out. Then what you gonna do, buddy? Road, And that would have been a legitimate argument before there were gas stations everywhere. Well, if the infrastructure had originally been built with electric charging stations rather than gas stations, then
I seen something.
Yeah.
I was watching something like here recently. It was kind of like the turn of the century. It's a show called 1923. It's based off of Yellowstone. I don't know if you ever heard the show
heard
Yellowstone.
of it.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those spin-offs of
I've
that.
heard of 1923 now that you say that.
1923.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford. Yeah, but good show. But regardless, they're cowboys.
Okay.
And they're coming into the era of technology. And so like they when they go to the city, you know, you got automobiles riding around the city and they're still riding horses.
Okay.
So, you know, I think they're in like Montana, Wyoming.
So they're aware
somewhere.
of technology. They just generally live outside of it.
Because they're cowboys.
Sure.
So they grew up on the farm, you know,
cowboys.
never had electricity in the home, running water, you know
Okay.
what I'm saying? So but they come into the city after like it snowed, like wintertime is coming. You know, cowboys always, you know, worried about winter, you know, because I got heads of cattle, how I'm going to feed them, keep them warm, stuff like that. So he's coming into the city to ask for a loan from the bank to buy hay.
Okay.
And you just see cars spinning in the snow. You know, people trying to drive their automobiles around saying he just come in on his horse. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at these dummies. You know what I'm saying? So it's just funny, you know, how we talk about like how technology progressed and how where we're at with cars and stuff, you know. But I mean,
there are always disadvantages to technology.
Correct.
Something new that comes out, there's always a way to pot shot it. And I imagine every generation, you know, you see those old guys are, you know, the world is crap. You know, it was only good when I was a kid. And, you know, back in my day, things were so much better. They got a brand new cell phone in their hand. The car in the driveway is a modern fuel injected, computer controlled, you know, work of art. You know what I'm saying? And they're busy complaining and griping and moaning about the way things used to be. And it's like, okay, but you like that technology, don't you? You know?
Yeah. We done got used to these creature comforts of
used to the creature comforts.
Technology. Indoor plumbing.
Indoor plumbing. There you go.
I can't imagine going to an outhouse, you know, in the middle of winter.
Oh, I have done so.
Oh, my goodness.
My great-grandmother didn't have indoor plumbing until I was a teenager. We weren't close to them, but once every couple of years we might go visit them, and several times we stayed over. And if you stayed over at her house, you slept in an old-fashioned feather bed that she had there. But
was it comfortable?
I was a kid, you know. Anything's comfortable when you're a kid.
Yeah,
know?
I can sleep on the floor and be good to go.
And I'm still kind of that way. I can sleep just about anywhere. As long as I feel safe, as long as I'm secure in my person, yeah, I can sleep just about anywhere. But yeah, she had an outhouse. There was no indoor plumbing. And so if you woke up in the middle of the night, you had two choices. You had the chamber pot that was over in the corner, and you were all bedded down in the same room. So if you use the chamber pot, it's just like, be over in the corner. But if you needed to do more than what the chamber pot would provide, you had to go out to the outhouse.
The chamber pot. I can see, like, I couldn't imagine having that as a kid, man. I'll be like using it for target practice. Like, man, how far could I get back? You know what I'm saying? Like with my stream, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that was back when if you missed, they would whip your ass.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, my granny was, she was kind of rough. But yeah, that trip to the outhouse in the nighttime as a kid was no picnic.
Oh, my goodness.
No picnic. Yeah, you didn't have like flashlights laying everywhere. You know, you just went out by the light of the moon or whatever. Yep. She had chickens. You know, you'd go out in the morning, collect eggs from the chickens, and, you know, they'd build a fire in the stove, and that fire would last through lunch unless there was a reason to keep it. If something special wasn't going on, that, you know, then they'd let it go out before dinner.
A wooden stove. Wood stove.
Yeah, wood burner stove. Yeah.
I want one.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, but I don't want to have to cook on it. Nice to have it if you.
I told my wife next place we buy is just gonna be land property. I'm never getting into another mortgage or buying a home. In the traditional sense of
but you're
today.
Still So you're gonna cut enough wood to heat and cook in.
Almost definitely. People giving wood around all over the place.
That's a lot of wood.
You ride down the road, there's all type of trees. Just
true.
Come pick me up.
That's a lot of wood.
I would definitely have to get a motorized wood splitter. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
I would. I mean, my back ain't what it used to be, but
propane.
And propane.
Propane is a good way to go.
Propane is very efficient too.
I use propane in my shop.
But I wouldn't mind a wooden stove to kind of heat whatever home I decide to build.
I've thought about putting a small wooden stove in that little outdoor deck area that I've got.
They make some very small.
Yeah.
Like a camping wooden stove or something like that. My old man got one.
Really?
He says very efficient.
Yep.
far as when it comes to just heating whatever little area you in. He got like this big
And if
tent.
you want to cook something on it, you can.
And you can.
You got a small surface there. Yeah, yeah. I think I've always thought about having some land and having a primitive cabin on it. I don't know if I'd stay there year round, but probably the more I stayed there, the more I would.
Wow.
If there was water close and.
Almost definitely. Yeah. I'm dead set on next big purchase I make is gonna be land.
Yeah.
I will never buy another home. You ever looked up what mortgage mean?
No.
It means death note.
Death note.
Death note. Fact check me.
Mortgage
is a death note.
Huh.
I will never get into another death note.
It's interesting when you think about the different ways there are to do that. You know, like you say, okay, buy some land, figure out a way to save up some money, rent something, you know, for as long as you have to until you can afford to buy some land, and then build yourself a small cabin on that.
Yep.
And then,
I mean, like debt free though. Like I'm building check to check. I'm building like so. Like we might have to live in a trailer for 5 years.
You can, build it as you can
fifth
afford.
Wheel, yes, build as I can afford, and I'm doing all the labor.
I have known people. I knew one couple that I'm specifically thinking about, but they bought a mobile home. A small but nice mobile home. There wasn't anything special about it, but, you know, it was it certainly wouldn't be one's forever home, but they bought land. They couldn't afford to build their house, and so they bought this small mobile home, put it out there, and they lived in that while they saved up enough money, and then they built their house next to the mobile home and, you know, sold the mobile home for a couple of $1,000s, and they were always on their land from the beginning, you know.
Yep.
Certainly seems better than renting a house or an apartment.
Imagine how much money you could save month to month.
For sure. For sure. And especially if you're handy and you do some of that yourself. You know, get the slab poured and some of the bigger stuff done, and then you can work on it as you go.
Work on it as you go.
Live out of one room.
Even if it takes 5 years, you know.
Part of the problem, I think, is that you alluded earlier, we've become used to these creature comforts. You know, we've become used to a certain standard of living, and I think that especially young people have an expectation that early in life they're going to have a nice house and nice cars, and they're going to have those things that traditionally would take, you know, a person maybe some time to get settled and invest in things and build some, not just money, but a little bit of wealth to get those things. And I think now the expectation is they have to have them immediately because it's too easy to borrow money for that stuff. You can have the trappings of money without really having money. And then once I
like that. The trappings of money without really having money.
Sure. The new cars, the, you know.
I heard a guy say, how can I word it? I rather look poor and be rich than be poor and look rich.
Sure. The thing about having the material possessions before you've put in the work to earn them is that now you're in a cycle where in order to maintain this lifestyle, you're going to you have to stay plugged into whatever corporate machine you're plugged into. If you work at Tyson, now you have to work at Tyson. And then they come to you and they say, we need you to go to the night shift. Okay, yeah, but then I'll never get to see my kids and I can't be a good dad. Is it going to be a good dad if you can't afford to feed your kids? And now you're between a rock and a hard place.
Right.
And you have to make some decisions that you don't want to have to make. You know, you have to choose the lesser of two evils. And then that cycle just gets perpetuated generation after generation. And next thing you know, we're all slaves to the corporations. And now our health care is tied to the corporations.
Healthcare is tied to the corporation.
What kind of father doesn't provide his child with health care, Q? What kind of person are you? What if your child gets deathly ill and has to go to the hospital? Are you serious right now? You've quit your job? That's what they're going to say. So whoever they is, you know, there's a segment of people who will feel that way. And
we all know who they is.
We know who they is.
Yeah, I know they.
Yeah, her name's Karen. His name's Chad usually. You know?
Right. They.
Well, you have to do it the same way we do. Well, I don't know if I do necessarily.
Ooh.
And it turns out what happens is we control language. So we say, if you don't have a corporate funded healthcare plan that provides X level of benefit, then you must not care about your kids.
You're a bad father.
So now the label is not somebody that's made a different decision about healthcare. It's you're a bad father. And you're lumped into that. Well, what else makes you a bad father? Well, not feeding your kids at all. That makes you a bad father. Or, you know, I knew a kid that used to get whipped every Monday for sins that he committed that nobody knew about, he'd get a whipping. And his dad would be like, he'd whip his ass with a belt. Be like, that's for all the sins nobody knows about. And then he'd be like, let's go watch Monday Night Football together. Like it was just a normal thing. That's a bad father right there. You know what I'm saying? But now.
But I've heard people that do that. Like,
sure.
Like when you get a whipping for something you done, they going to give you a little bit extra for the stuff that I don't know about.
I know there's some stuff I don't know about, and I'm already mad and worked up.
And be serious about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
But that's how things get, you get labeled as a such and so, I think we see it in politics. If you're a good Democrat, then you're going to vote for Kamala and whatever this guy, regardless of how you feel about their politics, whether you think they're good or not. If you're a Republican, you got to vote for Donald Trump, regardless of what you think about his politics.
Isn't it crazy how they divide us like that?
Just divided.
Democrat, Republican.
Yep.
I mean, they're really two sides of the same coin.
Two sides of the same coin.
But it's just another wedge to drive between us. Democrat, Republican, black, white.
Right.
Male, female, straight, gay.
Yep. How can we? Celebrating diversity has become, I don't know, how would you describe it? It's not about, what? One of the things that bugs me the most is the term cultural appropriation.
Explain that term to me.
Cultural appropriation. Taking something from that traditionally is practiced by a specific culture and practicing that as a person who's not of that culture. Let me think of an example.
I'm following you.
You following me? Okay. But I thought in the United States, what we were supposed to do was be taking the best of everybody's cultures and putting it into one so that the whole becomes better than the sum of its parts. And how do you do that if you don't take the good things and adopt them? And let everybody do it. If this is a good idea, imagine if everybody couldn't play the blues. What if the blues is just, oh no, you can't play? What? What if music was
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Stevie Ray Vaughan couldn't play the blues. If Albert King didn't take him under his wing.
What would we lose?
Because he was a white boy.
What would we lose?
One of the greatest blues players of all time, if you ask me.
For sure. If you ask probably anybody. He's going to be in anybody's top 10 list.
Oh, most definitely.
Probably
I would say
several top 10 lists.
Oh, yes.
Best guitarist, just straight up guitarist. He's going to be up there. I mean, he's not Jimi Hendrix, but they're playing on the same stage. For sure. Yeah, it seems to me, the whole point of having a diverse culture is so that we can learn good new things from one another. If you can't put those good things into practice in your life because it's cultural appropriation, then how do we all become better?
Correct.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. It's never made sense to me. But it's about those divisions. It's about those wedges.
The divide.
And as long as you can keep people fighting with each other about dumb stuff,
we'll never see the forest for the trees.
And you just keep showing up for work.
Yep.
What are you going to do? Let me go to bed. I got to be at work in the morning. Come back at home, have a couple of beers, gripe about the things that you feel maybe,
looking forward to Friday.
Just looking forward to Friday. Everybody's working for the weekend. What was that?
Working for the weekend.
Everybody is working for the...
Yep. Working for the
next
weekend.
thing you know, like Jimmy Buffett, 20 more years slipped away. And now what do? It's 20 years later. And we take on kids and responsibilities and we say, well, I've got to be a good parent, father, mother, person, whatever it is, and a good person.
By society standards.
By society standards.
Yes.
Yeah.
By
if you
society
fall outside of those standards, now you're not a good person anymore and people look at you sideways.
Correct.
Some people look at you sideways.
Correct.
But I guess my attitude has always been, I don't care.
And by society standards, it always falls on the male shoulders, if you ask me.
Oh, that's for sure.
When something goes wrong with the family, it's dad's fault.
It's our responsibility to keep it together.
Correct. 5 days to go. Working for the next day. 1 day to go.
Punching the clock.
That's a Bob Marley song, by the way.
Really?
Working for the next day.
Working for the next day.
Good song.
I heard a crazy story about Bob Marley, how he and the Whalers just kind of happened to be at the right place at the right time. I guess it happens that way for a lot of people, though. You know, and it's a matter of whether or not you're ready at that
like the
right
Hawk
place,
Tour
right
girl.
time. Like the Hawk Tour girl.
We was just talking about
just
her. Like,
happened to be
at the right place, right time.
Yeah, I've seen her on a couple of talk shows.
She's viral now.
That's
I'm sorry to interrupt your story.
No,
that's just what popped in my head when you say right place, right time.
At the right time. You never know what might happen. You know, some people say it's fate. What do you think?
What says you? Cue the messenger. Well, okay, so I would define success as like all the training and education meets that opportunity. So like I was ready for that opportunity when it came.
Right.
That right place, right time moment. I was prepared for it.
Yeah. They say luck is preparedness plus opportunity.
Plus the opportunity.
Yeah. If you're prepared when the opportunity comes, otherwise, you're not lucky. Then you're very unlucky.
Correct.
If somebody's got a brand new Cadillac and it's a wife that's mad at her husband and she's going to give you the title for $1,000, it's a brand new Cadillac. Well, if you don't have $1,000, now you're double unlucky. It's not like you just don't have a Cadillac, but also you could have and you weren't prepared.
Correct.
Can you believe we've been talking for almost an hour again?
Your preparedness have to meet that opportunity. Yeah, it seemed like we just started, actually.
It does seem like we just sat down.
It always amazed me how quick this hour, a little over hour goes by.
Yeah, me too. I think as men especially, you rarely get an opportunity just to sit down for no purpose other than talk.
And look eye to eye.
That's a different one.
Wow.
I think sometimes people don't understand the in-studio experience now. There's three of us here, and we do catch each other's eye and send each other little signals. It doesn't come across on the podcast,
on the mic.
But we're paying attention to each other and to what's going on in the now as well as what we're talking about. It's a rare thing. We always, if you say, hey, Shane, let's get together, be like, cool, what you want to do? You want to play some golf? You want to throw a football? We're going to find something to do, go ride some bikes. We're going to have a purpose and an activity is going to be involved in it. As men, that's what I think we've been programmed to do that way. That's what we automatically go to that. What sort of activity is it we're going to involve ourselves in? Sometimes it's drinking. I don't drink anymore, but you might say, hey, what are we going to do? Let's go have a drink. Okay, you go to a bar, you sit down, you have a drink. But still you feel like you're doing something. You never have an opportunity just to sit
down and just talk.
Look one another eye to eye, right across. What's the reaction to this thing I'm going to say? I've had this thing rattling around in my brain. I've had this thought in here. And if I say this thought out loud in front of people who are 2 feet away from me, looking at me,
right?
How's it gonna play? How's this gonna land when I plop this right down here in front of you?
It kind of adds like a little bit of mystery to us as well, because people can't see us, but they just hear us. Like it. Yeah. Like, man, I wonder what Shane looks like.
Devastatingly handsome, if you must know.
Oh,
devastatingly handsome.
Dashingly. I wonder what Q the messenger looks like.
Q, you're a good-looking man, if I may say so myself.
It's not my fault.
It's not your fault.
It's genetics.
Good genes, that's where it came
DNA,
from.
we talked about that today, DNA.
So this is our 5th podcast. I think initially we said after 5 we were going to put this out into the ether. Right now, nobody that hasn't been personally invited by us has heard these.
Correct.
But I think we said after 5 we were going to put this out into the ether somewhere where the public could hear it. Are we making a commitment when that's going to happen? I can't make that commitment right now because I'm not personally prepared.
You're not?
As far as the technical, like I couldn't do it myself if I had to.
Right.
And we haven't had that discussion with our illustrious producer yet, so we need to do that off mic.
Me neither.
Yeah. But coming soon.
I want you to know where to start.
If you're listening to this, it's already here. And if you're listening to this, you've already heard 5 episodes. So if you are listening to this and you've gotten through these 5 episodes, first and foremost, get in touch with us and let us know what you think. Is this something you'd like to hear more of? Hopefully by the time you've heard this, we've already put a few more in the can, as it were. But I'd really like to hear feedback from other people. What direction would you like to see? We really set down with no script, no plan. We just have fed off of each other like we would when we meet in public. Honestly, these are the same conversations we've been having for several years.
Correct.
Now they're just on tape, whereas they weren't before. But what would you like to hear us talk about? You want us to get into some of the controversial subjects? We'll talk about some of the controversial subjects anyways.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been
you know,
pretty uncontroversial, I would say.
even when talking about sensitive subjects. I think we've been pretty careful. I think we would always be careful. We always have been so
Correct.
far. But we kind of have
We're
an
very
understanding.
respectful of whatever
True.
that topic may be, or
True.
whoever else who might be listening.
Because the point is never to hurt somebody.
No.
There's nuance and there's judgments that nobody knows another person's individual circumstance. And we talk about something when we do, it's from the perspective of our lives, not, we haven't lived anybody else's lives but ours. And one of the reasons we agreed to sit down and do this, honestly, was to learn from one another. Oh, you see it this way? Why do you see it that way? We talked a little bit about the police in episode 2.
The police.
The popo.
The popo.
Oh, how many songs are there about F the popo? I can name 2 at least.
I shot the sheriff.
The sheriff. That's the
if
old
anything, F the popo and shoot him are 2 different things. I think Bob Marley, he put it out there.
He put it out there.
I shot him.
So listen, if you're hearing this, touch base with us. We'll have a website up soon.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't worked out all the details yet, but by the time you hear this, hopefully we'll have some of that stuff. We want to know what you think. But it's been an hour, and it's my responsibility at this point to say, Q, what you got for us to think about this week?
Oh, my goodness. As I was contemplating what I was going to say on the podcast tonight, far as like just a little nugget of wisdom or just some food for thought for whoever may be listening. This quote by Frank Zappa kept coming. Frank
Zappa.
Zappa. And I've quoted him before, and I like a lot what Frank Zappa had to say. But the quote basically goes, if you end up with a boring, miserable life because you listen to your mom, your dad, your teacher, your priest, or some guy on television telling you how to do your shit, then you deserve it. Do I need to say that again?
At least one more time. Say it one more time. I like that.
If you end up with a boring, miserable life because you listen to your mom, your dad, your teacher, your priest, or some guy on television telling you how to do your shit, then you deserve it.
This is Shane and Q the Messenger with Vendor Chronicles. We'll see you soon.
Peace.